Good evening and welcome to the Soapbox. I'm your host, Ashley Reilly, and I have something to say. The recent global economic downturn to which we are all familiar has negatively impacted almost all of us. Even if not directly, each of us knows of a heart-wrenching story of job loss and general economic stress where children are going without gifts for the holidays and parents are away from their families working multiple jobs. In every instance, these stories are generally told from a sympathetic point of view. Well, I disagree completely with that perspective. This economic downturn is probably one of the most profound and beneficial events to occur to us in modern times. Because for far too long, we have lived under a veil of materialistic hubris, believing that all of our problems can be solved through our greatest invention, the world of consumerism. But alas, they cannot. Herein lies the ignorance of our hubris. This world of consumerism, in and of itself, is a self-perpetuating cesspool of gluttony. However, through understanding the root cause of our hubris and taking advantage of the chaotic world around us, maybe, for the first time, there is hope for us to escape this materialistic, destructive way of life. The question we have to ask ourselves is, how did we end up here in the first place? Slaves to a retail world. Our egos. We are handicapped by it. The very same ego that gives you strength, that you rely upon for guidance, and which gives you a sense of identity, is the very same ego that traps you in this world. Because our ego is driven by an insatiable appetite for more. It is what makes us bored with the stuff we already have, and it's what drives us to keep up with the proverbial Joneses. It is undoubtedly our biggest weakness, one that not only created, but is perpetuated by this modern world of consumerism, where we live this never-ending search for materialistic goods that not only must we have, but we must have now. The problem, however, is that any satisfaction we receive from fulfilling our ego's wants is only ever temporary. Because as soon as the ego receives what it wants, something new, better, faster, comes along and becomes the next object of its desire. Then all that happens is that this cycle blinds us in a veil of false identity, which is incomprehensibly derived from all the stuff that we own. How then can we escape this madness and get away from the destructive nature of our egos? This economic downturn is the beginning. Because much like when on our deathbeds, this tragedy makes us face the reality of our existence. It makes us realize what is truly important here in life, that the only things we ever really needed were the only things we couldn't ever buy. The memories and experiences of our friends, families, and fellow citizens. Why do we have to wait until death, the only time in our lives where we can't change anything about what we've done, to make this realization? Well, the answer is, we don't. We can use this economic dire straits as a sign to remind us that the essence of who we are and what's important in our lives hasn't ever changed. We've only forgotten it as we've become blinded by our selfish, insatiable egos. And once we start to peel back the layers of our materialistic veils, we'll start to see who we really are. We'll realize that we don't need all that crap that piles up in the attic, because it doesn't make us any better or any worse for who we've been all along. We'll finally understand that the race to keep up with the Joneses is a futile one, where victory is unattainable. And we will, for the first time, see the real world through our real eyes, where the most important things we'll ever need will never be made in a factory. So I challenge you now. Lose your ego fail. Separate yourself from this materialistic rat race and be present. Live today. Enjoy this moment. And every night, when you put your head on your pillow, do it without regrets. Good night.